Hi, my dear students. Today we will learn about conservation laws of time reversal, charge conjugation, and parity. As all of you know, time reversal operation, we can consider this time reversal operation as the reaction and interaction between particles which we viewed in a reverse order. For example, if you film a reaction and view it in playing in reverse order, then it looks like a time reversal reaction. Okay, this operation is called time reversal operation. Now, if the time reversal reaction is also possible in nature, we can say that the reaction is invariant under time reversal operation. Okay, otherwise, the original reaction is not invariant under time reversal. For example, here you can see that two particles A and B interacts and form C and D. Here we can show the in this diagram you can see this. A and B interacts each other and form C and D. Under time reversal operation, once we record this event and view it in reverse order, it looks like this. C and D C and D, these two particles interacts and form A and B. Now, if there is an interaction in nature just like this, we can say that this interaction is invariant under time reversal operation. Okay, so time reversal invariance means the after the time reversal operation, the reaction we obtain, that should be a possible reaction in nature. Okay, so A and B interacts each other and form C and D. If you operate time reversal operator, then C and D interacts each other and forms A and B. Okay. The second operation is parity operation. Actually, P is the letter used to represent parity. P stands for parity. That is, it is a simple operation known as space inversion or reflection. Okay? That means the parity operator is just like we take mirror reflection. So in this context, the space coordinates x, y, z is transformed into minus x, minus y and minus z. Okay, this operation affects both the direction of motion and spin of a particle. Okay, when we operate parity, both the direction of motion and spin of the particle changes. Now, if the mirror reflection of a reaction is also possible in nature, we can say that the reaction is invariant under parity operation. You can see here, as we discussed the earlier example, there are two particles A and B. They interact each other and form new particles C and D. Okay. Now, under parity operation, what happens? These coordinates reverses. That means A comes here and B here. Similarly, C here and D here. Comparing this, you can see that how this parity operator affects the interaction. Okay. Now, this reaction is also a possible reaction in nature. We can conclude that this reaction is invariant under parity operation. Okay. Next one is charge conjugation. C is the letter used to represent charge conjugation. In this case, each particle in a reaction is replaced by its antiparticle. Okay. Now we can see this as A bar. A bar means antiparticle of A and antiparticle of B interacts each other and forms antiparticle of C and antiparticle of D. Okay, you can see this symbolically, this interaction like this. If this interaction is also possible in nature, we can conclude that the interaction is invariant under charge conjugation. Okay. The next one is called TCP theorem. Actually, the time reversal, charge conjugation, and parity. This is together called TCP. Combined operation of time reversal, charge conjugation, and parity is called TCP. And TCP theorem states that the every interactions are invariant under this TCP, combined operation of T, C, and P. Strong electromagnetic and weak interactions are invariant with respect to these operators. Okay, this can be in any order. There is no need of in the order of TCP. It can be in the form of CTP or CPT or PCT, etc. Okay, any order we can operate this to the interaction. Then all interactions are invariant under TCP operation, combined operation of time reversal, charge conjugation, and parity. Okay, this theorem was formulated in 1950, and this theorem is used to test different experiments. So scientists believed that the invariance held for time reversal, charge conjugation, and parity separately during this period. Okay, now we will check how this works. But later in 1956, scientists found that beta decay violates the invariance of parity. That means beta decay, all of you very well known about beta decay. The thing is, the neutron transformed into a proton plus electron antineutrino. Okay, this is the beta decay. Now, the parity operator acting on this reaction, this interaction, produces another interaction which is not possible in nature. That is the problem. Similarly, if the charge C operator acting on this beta decay, charge conjugation operator, it it reverses, it converts, transforms all the particle in these interactions into its antiparticle, such that antiparticle of neutron, antiparticle of proton, positron, and electron neutrino. This process has been experimentally observed, but with a left-handed neutrino. In this contrast, this is a right-handed one, but actually observed experimental reaction includes electron neutrino, but not with a left-handed one, but with a right-handed one. Okay, so charge conjugation is also violated by this beta decay. Now, if we apply this time reversal operator to beta decay, we can see that this operator acts in a reverse way. That means proton plus electron antineutrino forms a neutron. But this is very very much, its possibility is very negligible because there are three particles collide and form a single particle. Okay, that is the problem. Later, it was proven that weak interactions violate the invariance of parity and charge conjugation separately. Okay. Now we can check in detail the conservation of parity. We already discussed that parity operator is just like a mirror reflection. This operation is not much important in classical physics, but it is too much important in quantum mechanics, because you know that wave functions, we use wave functions in quantum mechanics. Okay, wave functions which satisfy f of minus x minus y minus z equal to f of x y z, this condition, these are called even wave functions or symmetric wave functions. Now here we assign a parity as +1. Okay, at the same time the wave functions of this form f of minus x minus y minus z equal to minus f of x y z are called odd wave functions or antisymmetric. Here parity is assigned as -1. Okay, This parity is a discrete operation and it has only two eigenvalues, +1 and -1. Okay. Now, ground state electron of an hydrogen atom has spherical symmetry, and so this is an example for even parity. Okay. Theta plus possess +1 parity and tau plus possess -1 parity. But it is already found that these two are same particle, and so there is some problem with the parity of the kaon. Okay, that is the riddle or puzzle happened here, theta tau riddle, because both theta and tau are found that they are both the same particle k meson, but in these reactions these possess two types of parity. Okay, now the decay of kaon into 2 pions demands +1 parity and 3 pions demands -1 parity, and so the conservation of parity is violated in this case. That means the mirror images of certain interactions are impossible. That is the importance. Okay. At that time, scientists believed that all interactions are invariant under mirror reflection. But in this case, in the decay of kaons, it is found that the mirror images of interactions are impossible. Okay. The conservation of parity means that nature cannot differentiate between right and left. But this violation is an important result because it means that the nature can differentiate between left and right. Okay. Then in 1956, Zhang Duo Li and Chen Yang analyzed all known facts and published a paper that parity might not be conserved in weak interactions. Okay. Now, the Li and Yang proposed certain experimental methods to check the validity of this assumption, okay, parity violation. Then later it was experimentally proved, and Li and Yang shared Nobel Prize for this prediction in 1957. Finally, this settles the theta tau riddle. That means in the end of the theta tau riddle, it is concluded that the beta decay may not be obey this parity conservation. Okay. The conservation of parity was believed by scientists because of careful examinations with many interactions which we encounter in our daily life and laboratory. Okay. But in this case, all the interactions which we usually encounter as either strong or electromagnetic interaction. At that time, weak interactions were not studied intensively, and there is no proof for the conservation of parity in these interactions. Then, the experimental proof for this parity violation. But after the proposal of the experimental method by Li and Yang, a team of physicists led by Qin-Shu Wu, a woman scientist, experimented this prediction. Okay. Then they used a piece of cobalt 60. This is act as a beta emitter. Okay. Then they cooled the cobalt 60 to very low temperature, nearly absolute zero, and placed it in a strong magnetic field, such that their magnetic moments were in the direction of the magnetic field. Now, most of the beta particles were emitted in the opposite direction to that of the oriented magnetic moments. Then what happens? If we check the mirror reflection of this event, its mirror image will show most of the particles in the direction of magnetic moments. But this is not natural process. Finally, it was undoubtedly proven that parity is not conserved under weak interaction. Okay. Now there are so many other examples. The one is the parity. Already we learned about this decay of kaons. Okay. Now, the parity of kaon is known to be -1. So, the decay of kaon into 2 pions violates the conservation of parity. Because you know that if there are only 2 pions, the parity of the resultant should be -1 into -1 plus 1. But it's already found that the parity of the kaon is -1. Okay. So, in this decay, the decay of kaon into 2 pions violates the conservation of parity. In 1978, Wu received Wolf Prize for her experimental evidence for this parity violation. Okay. Now, lambda decays into a pion and a proton. This is another example, lambda decay. Here, neutral lambda decays into negative pion and proton. Now, emitted proton moves in the direction shown by the spin of lambda 0. Here also, the mirror image gives unrealistic interaction. There is no interaction as shown in the mirror image. Now we can discuss about this discovery of neutrino. We already found that the parity operation, parity conservation is violated by beta decay. Okay. Now, the parity operator on beta decay produce act like this. Here in this beta decay, we already found that a neutron decays to proton plus electron anti-neutrino, and electron anti-neutrinos are right-handed. That means they moves like a right-handed screw. So this is the beta decay. And now if a parity operator acts on this reaction, this interaction, this gives a neutron which decays to proton plus electron anti-neutrino, but this time with left-handed. Okay? Because all of you know that if you take a mirror reflection, right and left changes. If the system has a symmetry, then only we cannot identify these changes. But here, the neutrino is right-handed, anti-neutrino is right-handed. That means it moves just like a right-handed screw. So, when you take the mirror reflection or the parity operator, this rotation, this movement of the screw changes just like a left-handed one. So, here you get an anti-neutrino, electron anti-neutrino, but moves just like left-handed screw. But in nature, there is no anti-neutrino which moves like left-handed screw. Okay, so this interaction, this reaction is not possible. So this violates the parity, violates in the case of beta decay. Okay. Later, it is proved that weak interaction violates the invariance of the parity operation. Similarly, the application of charge conjugation C on beta decay, we already learned that C changes each particle to its antiparticle. So in this interaction, when this charge conjugation acts, this neutron transformed into anti-neutron and it decays to antiproton plus positron plus electron neutrino are represent right-handed. This time, this electron neutrino moves like a right-handed screw. Okay. Here, this also not a possible reaction in nature because neutrinos are always left-handed neutrinos. Neutrinos moves just like a left-handed screw and anti-neutrinos moves just like a right-handed screw. Okay, so this interaction is not possible in nature. So charge conjugation also violated in the case of beta decay. Okay, weak interaction violates the invariance of charge conjugation also. Now we can check this CP symmetry. That means charge conjugation and parity, combined operation of charge conjugation and parity. Now if you put Cp together in this beta decay, when you apply parity to beta decay, there this antineutrino changes to nu El bar. Then we operate this charge conjugation, it inverts it. So you get anti-neutron decayed to antiproton plus positron plus electron neutrino with which just moves like a left-handed screw. This interaction is possible interaction. Okay. Here the P transforms, parity operator transforms right-handed electron neutrino to left-handed electron neutrino. This exists in nature. Okay. So this interaction is possible, and so this reaction is invariant under combined operation of C and P. In 1964, physicists proved that the invariance of combined operation of charge conjugation and parity does not hold always. CP invariance is not a universal law. Okay? In 1980, J.W. Cronin and Wallace Fitch shared Nobel Prize for this invention. They proved this in variance violation of this CP operation in the case of neutral kaons. Okay, we already learned in our previous lecture that there are two types of neutral kaons: short-lived neutral kaons and long-lived neutral kaons. Short-lived neutral kaons decays into 2 pions and long-lived neutral kaons to 3 pions. Okay, the decay of short-lived neutral kaons violates the CP invariance. Okay. Now, what about this time reversal invariance? The violation of CP invariance leads to the violation of T invariance, because we already found that invariance under TCP always holds. The combined operation of time reversal, charge conjugation and parity always holds. So, if the CP violation happens in an interaction, then it should violate the time reversal also, such that they compensate each other and the invariance of TCP holds. Okay. Similarly, if T invariance holds, it demands invariance of CP also. Then only TCP invariance exists. Now, the weaker interactions are more general and it acts on a large number of particles. They are limited by fewer number of conservation laws. These are the important things in connection with the conservation laws and symmetries. Okay. Now we can conclude all the things in these sections. Here you can see that these are different conservation laws we learned in this session. The first 4 laws: linear momentum, energy, mass, angular momentum and electric charge. These 4 laws are classically important conservation laws, and you can see that these conservation laws are obeyed by strong electromagnetic and weak interactions. Then comes new conservation laws connecting with baryon number, electron lepton number, muonic lepton number. All these are also invariant in strong electromagnetic and weak interactions. At the same time, the strangeness is invariant under strong and electromagnetic interaction, but it gets violated in the case of weak interaction. I3 is also invariant in strong and electromagnetic interaction, but violated in the case of weak interaction. Isospin is obeyed by only in strong interaction, and it get violated in the case of electromagnetic and weak interaction. Similarly, parity is obeyed by strong and electromagnetic interaction, but it gets violated in the case of weak interaction. charge conjugation is obeyed by strong and electromagnetic interaction, but it get violated in the case of weak interaction. Similarly, time reversal T operation or the combined operation of CP, this obeyed by strong and electromagnetic interaction, and in most cases it obeyed in the case of weak interaction also, but there are exceptions. Okay. Finally, the combined operation of time reversal, charge conjugation and parity is obeyed by all the three interactions. These are the summary of this conservation laws and different interactions. Now, the behavior of particles and their interactions. Here we already learned about different classes of the particles, and you can see that hadrons are heavier particles, and these hadrons are strong. Hadrons are affected by strong interaction, electromagnetic interaction, weak and gravitational interaction. These are leptons, electron and muon. Leptons are influenced by electromagnetic, weak and gravitational interaction. Photon, W plus or minus Z0, these are influenced by electromagnetic, weak and gravitational interaction. Neutrinos are influenced by weak and gravitational interactions, and gravitons only for gravitational interactions. Okay, these are the summary of all these symmetry and conservation laws. Hope that you can get a picture in the last two slides, the summary of all the events happening here, and learn well. Thank you.